Netanyahu claims a major win. He said the U.S. and Israel have broken Iran's axis of evil and removed a key threat. A Russian oil tanker reached Cuba. The delivery to Matanzas offers critical relief amid tougher U.S. sanctions. South Africa sets a huge investment goal. President Ramaphosa unveiled a 2 trillion rand target to attract global capital. China condemned strikes on Iran. Beijing warned attacks on nuclear sites could destabilize the world. Filipinos continued to come home. Nearly 100 OFWs from Kuwait arrived as evacuations intensify. Taylor Swift faces a lawsuit. A Las Vegas performer claims her new album title violates a trademark. And finally, Denmark's Princess Isabella will begin military training, a major step in expanding female conscription. I'm Andrea Santos, and Newsline World starts now. First in our news, President Donald Trump has declared that U.S. military operations in Iran could end within 2 to 3 weeks, asserting that the primary goal of neutralizing Tehran's nuclear capabilities has been fully attained. More on this from Jane Cadita.
In a candid exchange with reporters, U.S. President Donald Trump projected a rapid conclusion to the Operation Epic Fury. Following the reported death of Ali Khamenei, the president claimed that a regime change has already taken place, describing the emerging Iranian leadership as much more rational and less radicalized. Trump defended the military detour, arguing that without the deployment of B-2 bombers, Iran would have already possessed and potentially used a nuclear weapon. Despite gas prices hitting the $4 mark, the president insisted that Americans are safer and that fuel costs will come tumbling down once U.S. forces depart.
We had to take a little detour because we had a madman named Khomeini who sadly is no longer with us. And we had regime change already. We've knocked out one regime, then we knocked out the second regime. Now we have a group of people that are very different. They're much more reasonable. I think much less radicalized. I think with 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is,
we'll leave because there's no reason for us to do this. Now, regime change was not one of the things I had as a goal. I had one goal: they will have no nuclear weapon, and that goal has been attained. They will not have nuclear weapons.
A significant shift in policy emerged regarding the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump stated that the U.S. no longer intends to secure the strategic waterway for other nations. He argued that countries like China and France could fend for themselves and use their own resources to protect their tankers, marking a potential end to decades of U.S. maritime policing in the Gulf. The president claimed that the Iranian military has been set back 15 to 20 years with its navy, Air Force, and telecommunications infrastructure largely decimated.
What happens with the Strait, we're not going to have anything to do with because these countries, China will go up and they'll fuel up their beautiful ships and they'll leave and they'll take care of themselves. There's no reason for us to do it. We hit them hard. We've set them back. It'll take 15 to 20 years for them to rebuild what we've done to them.
While Trump hinted at the possibility of hitting a couple of nice bridges before the final exit, he emphasized that the U.S. is ready to finish the job and move on. As the Dow Jones sits at record highs and the military assessments show a crumbling Iranian defense, the White House appears set on a victory and exit strategy before the end of the month. This has been Jane Cadita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced a dramatic shift in regional power, claiming that Israel and the United States have broken the Iranian axis of evil and permanently removed the existential threat to the Jewish state. More on this from Almar Forzuelo.
In a landmark address ahead of Passover, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that the War of Resurrection has systematically dismantled decades of Iranian military investment. Netanyahu claimed that the nearly $1 trillion spent by the Tehran regime on its nuclear and proxy programs has gone down the drain, replaced by what he described as 10 plagues inflicted upon the Axis, from the elimination of top officials to the destruction of nuclear infrastructure. The Prime Minister highlighted the creation of deep security zones extending far beyond Israel's borders, including over half of the Gaza Strip, southern Lebanon, and areas in Syria from Mount Hermon to the Yarmouk.
שברנו את כוחם של צבאות הטרור של איראן שהקיפו אותנו בטבעת חנק. זה נכון, יש להם עדיין יכולת שיורית לאיים עלינו, אבל הם כבר אינם יכולים לאיים על קיומנו. אנחנו אלה שתוקפים ויוזמים, ואנחנו אלה שמפתיעים את אויבינו.
Complementing the Prime Minister's political assessment, IDF spokesperson Effie Dafrin provided a grim military update. Dafrin announced that the Israeli Air Force has struck 2,500 Hezbollah targets and killed 900 fighters in Lebanon. More critically, he declared that the IDF is on the verge of completely dismantling Iran's military production industry within its own borders in the coming days. However, the victory comes at a heavy price. Dafrin confirmed the deaths of 5 more IDF soldiers in southern Lebanon, including Sergeant Leran Ben Zion and Captain Noam Madmouni, as the ground forces continue to push the buffer zone further north.
בימים הקרובים נגיע להשמדת כלל הרכיבים החיוניים לתעשיית הייצור הצבאי של המשטר. אלו התעשיות שמייצרות את אמצעי הלחימה בהן המשטר משתמש נגד ישראל. אלו אמצעי הלחימה שראינו גם בעזה וגם בלבנון. אנחנו מפרקים אותם באופן שיטתי, את כל התעשיות הצבאיות בכל רחבי איראן. אזרחי ישראל, לקראת חג הפסח אני רוצה להדגיש, אין שינוי בהנחיות פיקוד העורף. אנחנו ערוכים להימשכות הירי לעבר ישראל גם במהלך החג. חשוב שתמשיכו להישמע להנחיות ולשמור על עצמכם.
As President Trump signals a U.S. exit from the conflict within 3 weeks, Netanyahu emphasized that the historic cooperation between the two nations has shaken the Iranian regime to its foundations. While the Prime Minister warned that the campaign is not yet over, the message from Jerusalem is clear. The era of Iranian regional dominance has been sanctified by fire. Reporter for Newsline World, Almar Forsuelo, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, a Russian oil tanker has docked in the port of Matanzas, delivering a massive shipment of crude to Cuba as the island struggles to overcome a crippling energy blockade enforced by the Trump administration. Verhil Parba has the story.
The arrival of the Anatoly Kolodkin on Tuesday brought a rare moment of hope to the port of Matanzas, carrying 730,000 barrels of crude oil, approximately 100,000 metric tons. The Russian tanker is a direct lifeline for Cuba's failing power grid. The Cuba Oil Union, or CUPET, confirmed that the fuel will be processed immediately to stabilize electricity generation across the Caribbean nation. Residents gathered at the docks to witness the mooring, expressing profound gratitude to Moscow while directing their anger at Washington. Many locals slammed President Trump, accusing him of using the war with Iran as a pretext to destroy the world and starve neighboring sovereign nations of essential energy.
Está bueno, es muy importante eso porque hay petróleo ya para se puedan mover porque aquí no había petróleo, no entraba nada. Gracias a que ya haya llegado.
The shipment arrives just days after the Granma 2.0 flotilla successfully delivered solar panels and medicines, further highlighting a growing international coalition moving to bypass U.S. sanctions. For Cubans like Ruben, the energy crisis is a direct result of what he describes as psychiatric leadership in the United States, which he claims seeks to treat the world as a personal kingdom.
Porque los extranjeros aquí dejan mucho dinero. Vamos a ver si Donald Trump afloja un poquito la pata de alguna manera y deja seguir entrando más Rusia y de otros países, de México, de otros lugares. Que no sea una gente tan malo como es, que ya bastante con la guerra esa tiene ya que está acabando con todo el mundo. Malo, es el presidente loco, que se cree el rey del mundo.
While Trump signals a potential withdrawal from the Middle East in the coming weeks, the maximum pressure campaign on the Caribbean remains in full force. However, with Russian tankers now docking in Matanzas, the wall around the islands appears to have found another significant crack. This has been Verhil Parba, your global citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
A flashy toilet fit for a king has become an unlikely attraction, drawing crowds and sparking political satire aimed at Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Trump defended his use of presidential authority, saying he has a lot of powers but chooses to exercise them only then or when necessary. Prince Tripoli has the story.
Visitors have been lining up to take photos with the golden toilet display, which critics say is a tongue-in-cheek jab at reporters surrounding lavish tastes and alleged renovation plans linked to Trump's time at the White House. The installation has quickly gained attention online, with images circulating widely across social media platforms. Organizers say the exhibit is meant to highlight perceptions of excess and wealth in politics, using humor and exaggeration to make a broader statement. Reactions have been mixed, with some praising the display as creative political commentary, while others view it as controversial and divisive. The exhibit underscores how satire continues to play a powerful role in shaping public discourse, especially when it comes to high-profile political figures. Meanwhile, speaking to reporters, Donald Trump pushed back against criticism that his leadership style resembles that of a monarch, calling such claims exaggerated.
No, I have a lot of powers to do things, and we use the powers where appropriate. Sometimes you don't have to use those powers. You know, they're a little severe, and then people accuse me of being a king. You see, the king, this is the new one. They've been trying for a long time, including 4 years where I was out of office watching how badly this country was run.
Trump defended his use of presidential authority, particularly regarding immigration policies, and sharply criticized the current administration under Joe Biden, accusing it of allowing large numbers of undocumented migrants into the country. The former president also alleged that some migrants entering the United States include individuals released from prisons and mental institutions abroad, though these claims remain widely debated. He warned that loosening border controls could pose risks to national security, while reiterating that his administration would take a tougher stance on immigration.
So I have many powers, but I don't have to use them. I mean, only in severe cases, yeah.
Their remarks come amid ongoing political division over border policy, as immigration continues to be a key issue in the United States. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, SMNI News.
A massive fire has torn through a vehicle storage facility in Acapulco, destroying hundreds of vehicles in a dramatic overnight blaze. Authorities say the inferno engulfed the depot, with flames rapidly spreading and consuming an estimated 700 vehicles parked at the site. Thick smoke billowed into the sky as firefighters battled to contain the blaze. No immediate reports of injuries or fatalities have been confirmed, though the full extent of the damage is still being assessed. Officials have launched an investigation into the cause of the fire, with early reports suggesting it may have started within the storage area before quickly escalating. Emergency crews remain on site as authorities continue to monitor the situation and work to determine what sparked the massive blaze. Up next, South Africa sets a huge investment goal. President Ramaphosa unveiled a 2 trillion rand target to attract global capital. China condemned strikes on Iran. Beijing warned attacks on nuclear sites could destabilize the world. And Filipinos continue to come home. Nearly 100 OFWs from Kuwait arrived as evacuations intensify. More news when Newsline World returns.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala, sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumulong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
And we're back. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has unveiled its record 2 trillion rand investment target, making the case for South Africa as a stable and credible destination for global capital, even as geopolitical tensions and trade disruptions rattle world markets. Kai Villan reports.
Speaking at the 6th South Africa Investment Conference in Johannesburg, Ramaphosa acknowledged the turbulence facing the global economy but argued South Africa stands apart.
We are meeting at a time of uncertainty for the global economy. Geopolitical fragmentation, supply chain disruptions from conflicts and wars and trade tensions are radically impacting global capital flows. In such conditions, South Africa presents what I would call a favorable proposition as a resilient, credible, and reform-oriented investment destination with strong fundamentals.
Ramaphosa pointed to a proven track record, noting that South Africa exceeded its previous 1.2 trillion ZAR investment target by attracting 1.5 trillion in verified investments between 2018 and 2023. The new target of 2 trillion ZAR, equivalent to around $120 billion, raises the bar significantly.
Today we have with us more than 1,200 delegates from more than 50 countries around the world who believe in South Africa's potential and see this as a favorable place to invest and to do business. You are here because you want to be part of our growth story.
Ramaphosa also credited South Africa's G20 presidency with raising the country's global profile, securing investment commitments from 22 source markets across 6 continents. The conference comes against a backdrop of severe global energy market stress, with U.S.-Israeli military operations against Iran since February 28, disrupting the key shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz and driving oil prices sharply higher. Conditions, Ramaphosa said, only strengthen the case for investing in a stable, reform-oriented economies. Reporting for Newsline World, Kai Villan, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, China is sharply condemning military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, warning of grave consequences for regional stability and calling on all parties to step back from the brink. Faith Agustin for the details.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said attacks on nuclear sites under International Atomic Energy Agency safeguards violate international law and threaten the global non-proliferation framework.
武装攻击接受国际原子能机构保障监督的和平核设施，违反联合国宪章宗旨、国际法和国际原子能机构规约，严重冲击不扩散核武器条约的权威，削弱维护国际核不扩散体系的努力，可能给地区和平安全与稳定带来严重后果。
Beijing reiterated its firm opposition to the strikes, urging all parties to remain calm and avoid further escalation.
中方对此坚决反对，主张通过政治外交手段和平解决伊朗核问题，呼吁各方保持冷静克制，避免紧张局势进一步升级。
China also flagged concerns over the upcoming review conference of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, warning that recent military actions could set back decades of global arms control efforts. Beijing says it is committed to working with all parties to push for dialogue and protect regional stability.
中方愿同各方一道，继续秉持客观公正立场，劝和促谈，支持通过对话谈判解决伊朗核问题，切实维护国际核不扩散体系，促进中东地区的和平与稳定。
Beijing further voiced concern over potential damage to Iran's cultural heritage sites, describing them as valuable assets of humanity and calling for an immediate end to military operations.
世界文化遗产是全人类的宝贵财富。中方对伊朗的文物古迹在战争中遭受破坏深感痛惜，敦促交战各方，特别是美国和以色列，立即全面停止军事行动，尽快启动对话谈判，尽早结束这场本不应该发生的战争。
On the energy front, China confirmed that 3 of its vessels have successfully transited the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global energy corridor, following coordination with relevant parties. Beijing is calling for an immediate ceasefire to restore stability across the Gulf region.
经同有关方面协调，近日中方有3艘船舶过航霍尔木兹海峡，我们对有关方面提供的协助表示感谢。霍尔木兹海峡及其附近水域是重要的国际货物和能源贸易通道，中方呼吁尽快停火止战，恢复波斯湾和平稳定。
This has been Faith Agustin, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
99 Filipinos from Kuwait have safely touched down in Manila. The latest batch of overseas workers and their families brought home as tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate. The repatriated OFWs and their dependents arrived at Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 3 on March 31st aboard Gulf Air Flight GF154 after a nearly 8-hour journey that included a stop in Dammam, Saudi Arabia. They were met at the airport by representatives from the Department of Migrant Workers and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, who provided immediate assistance, including food, transport, temporary accommodation, and medical services. Initial financial aid and fare assistance for travel to their home provinces were also provided. Further support awaits them in their communities through various agencies under the National Reintegration Network, which will assist with their transition back to civilian life. With this latest arrival, the total number of Filipinos safely repatriated from Kuwait has reached 198, including 22 dependents, as the government continues its evacuation efforts amid the ongoing regional conflict. The Department of Migrant Workers is alerting overseas Filipino workers to a growing scam, with syndicates posing as government representatives and charging fees for guaranteed flights home. The DMW says scammers are impersonating officials connected to the government or Philippine embassies, offering priority or guaranteed repatriation slots in exchange for payment. The typical scheme involves charging so-called processing fees and collecting personal information under the guise of arranging immediate flights home. The agency is making it clear that the government's repatriation program through the DMW, OWA, and DFA is completely free and is not for sale. OFWs are advised not to trust messages received through social media, text, or messaging apps that offer quick repatriation in exchange for payment. Instead, they should deal only with verified government agencies and confirm the legitimacy of any information they receive. The DMW's message is straightforward. If an offer sounds too good to be true, it is a scam. OFWs are urged to report any suspicious activity to authorities immediately. When we return, Taylor Swift faces a lawsuit. A Las Vegas performer claims her new album title violates a trademark. And finally, Denmark's Princess Isabella will begin military training, a major step in expanding female conscription. More news after the break.
Pagod? Nanunuyo ang lalamunan? O baka naman nahihirapan kang mag-focus sa ginagawa? Kapartner, baka naman dehydrated ka na. Ang katawan natin ay binubuo ng halos 60% hanggang 70% na tubig. Kung walang sapat na hydration, parang sasakyang walang gasolina ang ating katawan, hindi makakaarangkada. Bakit nga ba mahalaga ang tamang hydration? Hindi lamang ito pamatid uhaw dahil nakatutulong rin ito sa pagdaloy ng sustansya sa katawan, pagpapanatili ng tamang body temperature, at pagpapakinis ng kutis. Kaya't huwag nang hintayin pang mauhaw ka bago uminom. Ang pagkauhaw ay babala na ng iyong katawan na ikaw ay dehydrated na. Ang standard na payo ng mga doktor ay 8 baso ng tubig ang dapat inumin bawat araw. Pero tandaan, depende ito sa iyong timbang, edad at kung gaano ka ka-active. Samantala, narito ang ilang gabay para manatiling hydrated. Simula ng araw sa isang basong tubig. Magbaon ng sariling tumbler para siguradong may maiinom saan man magpunta. At hanggat maaari, piliin ang tubig kaysa mga matatamis na inumin. Kaya mga kapartner, manatiling hydrated para makaiwas sa mas malalang sakit at upang maalagaan ang iyong kalusugan.
Megastar Taylor Swift is facing a lawsuit from a Las Vegas performer who claims the title for her latest album infringes on existing trademark rights. Meanwhile, Princess Isabella of Denmark is set to begin military training later this year, marking a significant step as Denmark expands its conscription program to include more women. Here are the updates. The complaint was filed on March 30 by Maren Wade, who alleges the Swift's album, The Life of a Showgirl, is too similar to her long-running stage production, Confessions of a Showgirl. Wade urges that the global marketing surrounding Swift's release could overshadow her show and create confusion among audiences. In court filings, Wade said the album's promotion threatens to drown out her brand, which she built through years of performances in Las Vegas. She is now asking the court to intervene and block Swift from using the title in a way that could mislead the public. The case highlights growing tensions over intellectual property in the entertainment industry as artists seek to protect their brands in an increasingly competitive global market. The 18-year-old daughter of Queen Mary of Denmark and King Frederick X will enter service in August, shortly after completing her high school education. Her enlistment places her among the first group of young Danish women to be called up under newly expanded national service laws. According to a statement from the Danish royal house, Princess Isabella will train at the Guard Hussar Regiment in Slagelsli. She will be following in the footsteps of her older brother, Crown Prince Christian of Denmark, who has also undergone military training. The move reflects Denmark's evolving approach to national service as the country strengthens its armed forces and promotes greater gender inclusion in the military. In cycling, an investigation has revealed that Swiss rider Muriel Ferrer was not discovered for 82 minutes after a crash during the UCI Road World Championships in Zurich. Meanwhile, South Carolina Gamecocks, Texas Longhorns, Yukon Huskies, and UCLA Bruins women's basketball are heading back to the Final Four after again advancing to the last stage of the NCAA Division Women's Basketball Tournament. More on this from Carlo De La Peña.
A tragic incident occurred during the women's junior road race at the 2024 UCI Road World Championships in Zurich, where 18-year-old Muriel Ferrer crashed off the road in wet conditions along the 73.5-kilometer course. Investigators from the Zurich Public Prosecutor's Office found that the cyclist veered off the road and crashed into a wooded area that was not visible from the race route. Race marshals, officials, and spectators did not witness the crash, leaving the rider undiscovered for more than an hour before she was eventually located and airlifted to hospital, where she later died from a head injury. Authorities concluded there was no evidence of criminal conduct or negligence by race organizers overseeing the championship alongside the Union Cyclists International. Following the tragedy, the sport's governing body introduced GPS trackers for riders at the 2025 UCI Road World Championships in Rwanda to ensure athletes' locations can be monitored throughout races. Meanwhile, the 4 top-seeded teams completed a rare repeat appearance in the Final Four, marking only the second time the same schools have reached the tournament's final weekend in consecutive seasons. Texas Longhorns women's basketball secured their spot after a dominant 77-41 victory over the Michigan Wolverines women's basketball in the Fort Worth Regional Final. Madison Booker scored 19 points with 7 rebounds, while Rory Harmon dished out 13 assists as Texas improved to 35-3 and reached the program's 5th Final Four appearance. Meanwhile, Joyce Edwards scored 24 points and Agot Makir added 18 to power the South Carolina Gamecocks women basketball past the TCU Horned Frogs women's basketball. The victory sends South Carolina to its 7th Final Four in the last 9 seasons under head coach Don Staley. South Carolina will now face the UConn Huskies women's basketball in a rematch of last season's national championship game, while Texas will meet UCLA Bruins women's basketball in the other semifinal in Phoenix. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo De La Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the song. It is up to our own freedom of choice to follow His will or to fall away. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Andrea Santos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.